Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A short comment on the title. New government, yes, we are 2 months old, so we are certainly a new government. And change or continuity. Continuity means a stalemate, so change we must for improving lives of people. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, USIP, for the invitation. I've been here before in a different capacity, but I'm glad to be here again. You're doing a wonderful job as an institution, and would love to work with you. Met Secretary Pompeo when he visited Islamabad on the 5th of September. That was the first engagement, a high-level engagement after a long pause with this administration. In my view, it was a good meeting. It was a constructive engagement. He had spoken to the Prime Minister a few days earlier when he called to congratulate him on his electoral victory. He also met the Prime Minister and the other leadership while he was in Pakistan. My meeting with Secretary Pompeo and the National Security Advisor, Mr. Bolton, yesterday, I think was useful, engaging, and forward-looking. We had decided when we met in Islamabad that we will reconvene, pick up the threads from where we left them in Islamabad, and at the end of the UNGA session, we will have another round, and we did that. So I'm going back with hope. One has been hearing about disappointments, failed expectations, exasperation, but then you always have to think of hope and change. And I'm going back with a positive view of hope and change. Our bilateral relationship, US-Pakistan bilateral relationship, has been, as most of you know, cyclical. We've had our highs and we've had our lows. The last 2 years in particular, I would say, were difficult. And let's acknowledge they were difficult. And one is here to reconnect, and one is here to rebuild what, in my view, is an important relationship to achieve our collective objective, which is peace, reconciliation, and stability. History tells us whenever we've engaged and whenever we've cooperated, it's been to our mutual advantage, and both sides have benefited, whether it was the Cold War, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, or decimating Al-Qaeda. So there's a positive side, and we should always look at the positives as well. Highlighting, pointing out the negatives is very easy. Building positivity at times is difficult. Is that the alert? It'd be unfair. I've seen, read a lot of criticism, and I think it's unfair not to recognize the contributions Pakistan has made to the successes that you've had in Afghanistan, and you've had successes despite the challenges. Just to highlight a few, the G logs and the A logs and the continued support that we're giving has not only saved billions of dollars, it has contributed to your success in Afghanistan. Just to put in perspective, over 500,000 containers went through Pakistan, and the cargo was treated as diplomatic cargo. Dealing with Al-Qaeda, our contribution should not be overlooked. 950 of them were killed and over 1,100 handed over. Similarly, to blame Pakistan for all the difficulties in Afghanistan, in my view, again, would be unfair. We cannot and should not be held responsible for the failures failures in Afghanistan, whether it's poor governance, corruption, or disunity within the Afghan government. They have contributed to the challenges. We in Pakistan recognize that peace, stability, and security, to achieve peace, stability, security, good neighborly relations with Afghanistan are critical. What do we want to see in Afghanistan? They're a sovereign country. They will take their decisions, and we have to respect their decisions. But what do we want to see? We would want to see a democratic, progressive, peaceful, and inclusive government in Afghanistan. They will decide who governs them. We have no favorites in Afghanistan. People talk of safe havens in Pakistan, and a lot has been written about it. But we are concerned about eliminating safe havens that exist today in Afghanistan under your watch. So that is a concern for us. Reduction in violence is our collective objective. And growth in production of narcotics, perhaps I was reading somewhere, it went up by 87% last year, is a concern. Being a lower riparian, we share waters. Protection of water rights is also one of our concerns. Border management is important. Border controls and a collaborative approach is, we think, is going to be important. Afghan refugees, and there are 2.7 million still in Pakistan, their return in a time-bound manner, we think will contribute to peace and security in Pakistan. Today, we have a new arrangement in Pakistan, and this new arrangement between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and this new arrangement called APAPS was launched on the 22nd of July this year. Now, this is putting in place a mechanism, a structured, institutionalized mechanism for a continuous dialogue to address all the issues that exist between us. Yesterday and today, I had the opportunity of meeting senators, members of the House. So my embassy kept me busy in the Congress. I would want to, honestly, I would want to invite members of Congress to come and visit Pakistan. And I would like you to go to the areas that were called the tribal belt and see for yourself the difference that we have made in the last few years. You decide where you want to go, and we'll take you there. And then you see for yourself the existence of safe havens, whether they exist and to what extent they exist. It's important for you to see, go and see, and form an opinion. I think, and our government thinks, people in Pakistan think that we have made considerable progress. And this did not happen overnight. Mindsets do not change overnight. They evolve. Time is important. A shift takes place. It's a transition. Let's not forget many of the people that have been challenging you and us, but at one time were considered friends and mujahideen, were trained and supported and armed. Despite challenges that we have and a continuous provocation on the eastern side, on our eastern border with India, we have deployed 200,000 troops on the western side. Our operations have been recognized and acknowledged as successful. As the title says, there's a new government in Pakistan. And this new government has an agenda. And that agenda is for change. Socio-economic change and development. A people-centric agenda that can only be put into practice if we have peace and stability. If we have, on both sides of the border, and we want peace and stability so that we can concentrate on health and education and jobs and drinking water. That is the priority of this new government. And for that, we have a common challenge and a common objective of achieving or moving in that direction. And fortunately, there is a new approach that I see in the making, and that is a new convergence that is taking place, that there is no military solution, and we have to look for a negotiated political solution. The NUG government in Afghanistan seems ready for that. The present government of Pakistan and the Prime Minister of Pakistan has been advocating that for years. It is called different names because of this advocacy. But today, gradually, everybody is inclining that way, that perhaps this is the most sensible way forward. And the present administration is also inclined in that direction. So this new convergence, this is in the making, is a great opportunity. And I think this opportunity should not be missed. How did this happen? Because of a shift in public opinion. Why we were successful in managing things on our side of the border? Simply because public opinion shifted when when terrorism hit us in the face, and when our school children were affected, our investments were compromised, our daily lives were affected, that's where the change came. And that is where a new political debate started, and it evolved into a national action plan. All political parties, different shades of political opinion, are now and today agreed that this is the way forward. We cannot surrender to terrorism. We will have to take them on, and we will have to clear our areas, and we have successfully done that. Well, it's work in progress. We will have to continue to build on what we've achieved, but to a large extent, things have changed. I think this shift should be recognized. Perhaps it is not being recognized enough. And disengagement, when this shift has taken place and is taking place, is perhaps not the way forward. That's the last thing you want. Continuation, cooperation, and engagement is what perhaps is required. Cutting off training, not giving equipment, precision equipment that could have been used against terrorism. I don't know to what extent that will help, but in my view, it will not help. Collectively, we can achieve our shared objective. Blame game will not be productive. And I've been saying that. You can say that. Blaming and shaming is very easy. Where will it get us? Look at the statements of the last 1 year. Have they helped? No, they have not. So we have to adopt a different approach. Yes, there is a trust deficit, and that needs to be bridged, and it must be bridged. We have a shared objective. The strategy to achieve that shared objective is more or less we're on the same page. So we have to trust each other. There is no other way. There is no other way. Individually, we might not be able to achieve what we want to, but collectively, in my opinion, we can. I've focused on this bilateral relationship only and by design, because I have come to the conclusion that my bilateral relations with the United States are dependent on the situation or the improvement of the situation in Afghanistan. So my road to Washington is via Kabul, and that is why the first destination I chose after having been sworn as Foreign Minister was Kabul. Thank you.